Alright, good afternoon everyone once again. My name is Moshood Kausar. I'll be the one taking today's class, which is data types in Flutter. Data types. Can we all let me start sharing my screen. Alright, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Alright. So for data types in Flutter, we'll be making use of Geeks for Geeks. This particular website, it's actually very good. It has a good documentation concerning data types. But then I would like us to do a brief revision of what was taught in the previous classes for those that are just joining us. So from here we have comments. According to what our last tutor taught us, we have single line comment, we have multiple line comment, and double. Then we have variables. I think variables was being taught on Wednesday. Yeah. So today we'll be treating data types. Now, what's data type? Like other languages, whenever a variable is created, each variable has an associated data type. Here, in that language, there's this type of values that are presented and manipulated in programming language. The data type classification are as follows. So basically, we have 5 types of data types. We have number, strings, booleans, list, and map. Now, these data types, they have different keywords. That is, before you can the keywords are basically words that are used to notate these data types. Like if you are to have int, you should know that int is just like the short form of integer. We have double, we have num. They are more like the declaration aspect for the data type. Now for number is data. Numbers in that are used to represent numerical literals here. Now moving on, the int data type is used to represent whole number here. More like int is just the short form of integer, that is whole number. You can't have 20.0 as int. You can only have 20 or 21, more like rounding up to whole number. Why for double data type, you have they are represented in 64-bit floating point numbers. Yeah, number. That is, you can have 20.1, 20.22, more like decimal parts. Let me put it that way. Then for num don't they don't really. You don't have to specify if it is int or double. It can accept both. It is an inherited data type. So this is an example here. Void main, that's the entry point of every app we are going to have. Then int, that is, they are declaring this is a variable, right? They're declaring their variable to be an integer, to be equal to 2. That is, this 2 is a data type of number, and it is being declared using int as the integer. Then for double, if you notice, we have 0.5 here. That's the main reason why they are using double here. You can't have 20.0 here and declare it in form of int. No, it will throw an error because int has to do with whole number alone. So then if you are to print num1, that is the variable you declared earlier on, is going to give you the value here, same as you declaring num2, that is the variable you assigned to this value, which is 1.5. So let's get started with the coding aspect. So let's create a new file. Okay, I want to share both screen. Alright, so let's create a new file folder and name it, let's say data let's say data type dot. Please note that the extension is always .dat whenever you are running any Flutter code, any dat code. Then we have the void, that's our entry point of the app. Now we'll be taking the first data type, which is number, like we said earlier on. Now int, you have to declare it int, let's say number is equal to 2. Now if I'm to change this int to double, and print, okay, let's just move on. Now let's declare our double to be, let's say number 2 should be equal to 6.0. Please, from the last class, remember that you can't assign a variable name to start with number. The way I have number 2 here, we can't have a variable name to start with 2 number, like you can't start with a number. Now let's print our value, that is number. Then we come back to this our terminal, main dot, the name of that run, the name of our file we created is data type .dat. Yeah, can you see that it's printed the value we assigned? Hello? I'm so sorry about that. Sorry, where was I before the call ended? I didn't know that the call was not going. I'm so sorry about that. Can you all see my screen now?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. David, sorry, where was I before the call ended? Probably I can just recap.
Double. You're talking about double.
All right. So double basically is just you declaring the number type to have decimal part, that is the 64 notation. Then moving on, I tried printing the number, this variable name number, from our terminal. We have that run the data type dot that is, I saved this file name with data type dot that, then that run this particular file. Since I have print number, that is it should print the value assigned to this number, which is 2. I'll do the same thing for double. Alright, so I think, are we all clear with what data type is about in?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright.
Yes.
Okay, code of message. I'm trying to open this other screen. Alright. Okay, now let's make use of the one for num. Let's say variable number equals, no, we can't use num because num itself is like I can't assign two variable twice. That is, I can't have number here and I still declare number here. Is equal to num dot prsa. Now for this num.parse, if I have 2.0, irrespective of the data the number, it should always print what I have. But if it is for int and double, it would only print, for integer it will only print the integer parts, while for double it will only print the decimal parts and integer parts, like the whole number. Let me explain further with this. Can you see that it's throwing error? when I add when I added 0.0, because it is telling us that this is the data type is double. That is, we can't assign integer to double numbers. Like, do you understand what I'm trying to say? It has dropped again. I'm so sorry about that. God of mercy. Oh, me, I'm already tired though. I've muted my section. I should just continue, bro. Alright. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright. The main reason why this one is throwing error is because we can't assign a double number like
Ma, so, ma, so we can hear you, but we can't see you.
screen. Okay. I'm coming. How about now?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright. The data type here is in form of double. We can't assign int and have double number here. That's the main reason why we're having error. Now, if we are to change this to double, can you see that we don't have like any error again? So you have to be careful of when you are declaring the data type you are using. But once it comes to this num.parse, it doesn't like require whether it is int or double. In case you are not sure of whether the number you are collecting is integer or double, you can just make use of this num.parse. So I think we are done with data types under number as part of data types. So moving on, we have string. Now, basically, string is just values that are embedded in either single or double quotes. It is used to represent a sequence of characters. Yeah. So I'll be trying an example here. We have string. Now, if we're declaring the keywords used for declaring string is string string. Now, let's give it a variable name. Let's say name to be equal to. Now, like I said earlier on, you can either use a single quote or a double quote. That is, on your keyboard you have what we call, you should see a single quote, while once you press shift, the quote sign, you should be able to see the double quotes. Then, so basically, strings, they are always inside a single quote or a double quote. Now, I have string name Kausar. Now, if I don't have this single quote, this double quote rather, I'm going to have error because I'm meant to have it inside a string. Without this string, without this string keyword, it's going to throw error. Are we all getting it? Can you guys hear me? Ha! It seems it's your network. Alright, I'm so sorry about that. Now, we were talking about string. Like I said earlier on, you can either have single quotes or double quotes. If you are declaring any variable that has a data type of string, they must be in this single quotes or double quotes. Now, let's assume I have this. Can you see that it is throwing error because it is not included in a quote? I have to have this single, either single quote or double quote, to represent it that they're in form of, the data type is in form of string. Now, imagine I remove this. If I should remove this string and I have let's say and I have just number without the string, it will actually throw error. That's because they are not inside, this 19 is not inside a single string or a double string. Now, moving on, we have where's my gig for gig? Yeah, we have Boolean as part of data type. Now, Boolean is, the values are either true or false. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright, sir. Okay, so let me convert this back to string. Now, for Boolean, the values are either true or false. Now, from this example here, we have the string str is the variable name, to be equal to coding is fun. Coding is rather. Now, you can see they have it in a single quote. That's because they already declared the data type to be string. If they don't want it to be in form of string, they won't bother declaring it in form of using the keyword string, that is string. Now, for the second one, we have string to be that is, the variable name here is stri1, then in a single quote, fun. Now, this is where the Boolean data type come from. They assigned a value, a variable called val, to be equal to, open brackets, this string, is it equal to string 1, that is this sign here, double equal sign, shows that is you are checking if string 1, if str is equal to str1, that is the values in string, in this first string str, is it equal to the value here. Now, as we can see, the value here is coding is, and the value here is fun. Definitely we are going to have error, that is, if I were to print value, it will be false, because what is in string 1, what is in str is different from what is in str1. So let's run that here. Okay, let me just use the variable names they already have before. Bool value to be equal to number Now what I did here is I already declared number. Sorry, let me change this. I already declared the value for number here to be 2 and number 2 here to be 6. Now I'm now writing a data type to show, that is, if this number here is equal to this, that is, the value in this number, is it equal to the value in this number? Now as we can see, it is showing that it is false because the value here is 2 and the value here is 6, so they are not the same thing. Now let me have this again. Now I declared a new variable here, number 4 to be equal to 6.0, and I already have number 2 to be equal to 6.0. Now I want to check if number 2 is the same thing, the value inside number 2 is also the value in number 4, using the Boolean data type to check. Now once we click on that run, we have it to be true, that is, the value in number 2 is also the value in number 4. It's just like you checking that if is something equal to something in that. It doesn't have to, like, you don't necessarily have to be in number. Let's assume I can also have text. I can also have text. It's not only number you can check for whether it is true or false. You can also have text also. Now let me have name 2. Now the value here is false. Why? Because in that it is case sensitive. What we have in name is not equal to what we have in name 2, because we have caps lock, we have capital letter as the first string, while the rest are small letters, while the other name 2, they are all in capital letter. So what we have in name is different from what we have in name 2. That is case sensitive. What we have here is different from what we have here, so we can't have it to be true. It would always be false because it is different. Do you guys understand? Do you guys understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now moving on to list. Yeah, list data type is similar to arrays in other programming languages. A list is used to represent a collection of objects. It is an ordered group of objects. Yeah. I would be using a simpler example here. Now let's have, to declare lists, we are going to use list, the word list. Now let's say we have products, that is, I'm declaring a variable product to have an item, to have different items. If these square brackets are used whenever we are to call lists, we can't use any other sign. We are to use these square brackets to show that we are actually like writing list of items. Now we have, and they're always in quoted, any item you are writing inside the list, they're always in form of integer, in form of string rather, except if you are to have just numbers, integers rather, then you can have them without the quotes. So like I said earlier on, for string we are going to have either single quotes or double quotes, while for numbers we are not going to have quotes. Then let's say we have sneakers. Now if I'm to print what we have here, let's say I have products. If I'm to print products and I come to my terminal, it will print out the items that are inside this list. The variable name that I declared here is products, so it will print out what we have inside this product. Now for this list we have different ways of accessing items that are inside this list. Let's assume this is index 0, this is index 1, this is index 2. That is, if I were to call them, let's say I want to call sneakers alone, we are going to use index. That is, this shoe now has an index of 0, this 12 has an index of 1, this sneakers has an index of 2. Now let's say I'm to call index of, that's dot index Where's my laptop lagging? My laptop is lagging. Is this still going on? Let me just be fast. Let me just move on. Okay, let's move on to the last one, map. Am I still on the phone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, to declare map, we have map, then Now, for map, we have keys and values assigned to map. Now, this age here represents the key, while the value 12 is the value for what age is being assigned to. Same thing as city. Nigeria is assigned to this city. Now, I want to have, the main reason why I have string comma dynamic is because dynamic is anything that can change. I can either have string or numbers in this dynamic aspect. While for string, I can only have characters that are in single or double quotes. Now, if I'm to have only, so sorry, if I'm to have, let's say I change this age to 12 and I change, you can see that it is showing error because, am I seeing? It is showing error because this 12 is not a string, so it's going to throw error. Except if you declare it here that you want your map to also accept dynamic. Can you see that it's not throwing error because this 12 here is not a string, so it's going to actually throw error. So let's change it back to string so that we'll be able to print out few stuffs. Now let's print the items that are inside this. Print items, then city. Now if I'm to print city, that is, I want to get the value that is inside the city, all I just have to do is print items, that is the variable name, this square bracket, and the value the string I gave it. Now if I were to print this, it should give us the value Nigeria, because this is the value we assigned to city. Same thing as age. If I were to print age, that is to get the value of age, we would get 12. Yeah. So I think that's all. Do you guys have any question? Can you guys hear me? Oh, I'm not on the call.
We can hear you, ma.
Alright. So any questions so far? Any questions so far?
No, from my side.
Alright. So I'll push this code snippet to GitHub, so you can just pull it to check further.
Okay, ma.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me? Since just from something.